Testing, testing. All right, so we're going to give us a few seconds before we start to play this call. I have not got to listen to it, so I said, instead of me listening to it, let's just live stream it. We're going to listen to it and be able to talk and stuff as we go through it. It says the call here is a little over an hour long. So we will see what information we get. I've seen a lot of posts out there, so that's pretty exciting. And all right, let's see here. Sorry, YouTube. It's been a little while since I did a live stream. So there's a couple new things here on apparently the live streaming stuff. So for everyone that's jumped in, if you could leave a comment, how the audio and the visual is. Does it look good? Does it sound good? Give me a thumbs up. Give me FINRA fraud. Give me MMTLP, Nextbridge. Give me something in the comments, guys. We got Stockridge. Let's effing go. Yes. Let's go. All right. Silver says looks good. Sean says looks good. All right. All right. Perfect. Hey, Michael, what's going on, brother? We got Brandy, X, Todd. All right. Cash says everything's good. Marcus gets thumbs up. Mama says sounds good. Looks good. Sounds good. All right. Perfect. Now that you all confirm that, let's get in here because we got an hour call, and I want to definitely get all of the stuff that John Brda has said. And we will listen to it. We'll pause it, give thoughts and opinions. So let's get to it here. All right, looks like this is the beginning part here. Silver, play me something that'll give me a you know what. All right, let's just fast forward here. Till we get John Brda on here. Looks like just giving people a few minutes to hop in the stream. Live chat here.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up if you can hear me.
All right, perfect. Here we go.
Savvy. Check out. Check it out, Savvy.
We'll fast forward.
I can hear you. Busy, you're roboting a little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I can. I knew this was going to happen.
I believe the
okay, guys, we're seeing lots of requests to speak. Hang on a minute. Let's get Brda in here. Busy, can you make Drew a co-host?
I just wanted to post the ratio tweet in the nest, and then Drew, I'm going to drop down.
I think your co-host. Go ahead, speak if you can.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Oh,
man, Busy, you're roboting real bad.
This Twitter stuff is getting on.
Yeah, Busy, and Alex was just talking. I don't think you heard him. Can you drop out and come back? Do you know how to do that?
You can try. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so it appears that the host of the space, Busy's having a little bit of issues, but they are going to keep on going here.
And we'll get the space started. And then at some point or another, if there's time, Mr. Brda's time is very limited and very valuable. So if you'd just be so kind to hang back with your mic requests, unless you are a pre-approved speaker on the panel, that would be greatly appreciated and save the hosts a little bit extra work. And this is nerve-wracking enough as it is. Thank you. Busy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm good. You guys are good.
You got me, Busy?
Oh, yep, I got you. I got John Brda up here. John.
Hey, John.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing today?
Hello, Mr. Brda. How are you?
I'm good.
Long time no talk.
Yeah, no kidding. Interesting day.
Yes.
John, I didn't know it was your birthday.
Yes. It's not.
No,
my
it's your
birthday.
birthday. FINRA just sent you a lovely gift.
You know, what's funny is that certainly I don't know why, but they certainly underestimate this crowd for sure.
Yeah, they do. And I seriously, after reading that, John, today, because it broke when I was holding a space, so I didn't get to read it until a little bit after. But I was like, did the same lawyer that wrote the replies to Rosa's lawsuit write this? Because it was equally as desperate and pathetic. So yeah, it was bad. But hey, we'll take it. We will take it.
Yeah, so I was just on with the New York Times for an hour with Wes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so we'll see what kind of reporting comes out of that. But
so was that an interview for a print or for a television spot? What was that an interview for?
I think it was print.
Okay.
I think it was print. Joe Renison is the.
Oh yeah. We know that name.
So we'll see.
Okay.
So real quick there, John Brda said he was on a call with the New York Post and West Christian, and they had about an hour talk. They're going to write up a piece on it. So let's hope they report the correct news and not, copy and paste in out stuff to make it seem bad.
Well, we may have to, see what it looks like and go from there. So I'm not gonna create any opinions on it yet. So.
Thank you for joining, John. It's greatly appreciated. This community greatly appreciates you coming up to the mic. So we're going to get started. Let's go with Drew, and then we're going to go to JR. Drew, you have the mic.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brda, it was just discussed that MetaMaterials rescheduled their Q4 and fiscal year 2022 results and corporate update webcasts. They did this because, and I quote, they required time to complete the complex accounting analysis required for the 10K filing related to Nextbridge Hydrocarbons shared distribution.
Oh shit! I didn't hear that.
100 has brought up, and this Q4 and fiscal year 2022 result is supposed to be delayed until the end of the month of March. In your opinion, does that mean that they are forcing an accounting of the shares in order to complete that 10K filing, sir?
You know what? I'm not going to opine on that because I don't know, and I haven't talked about it. I mean, I literally just hearing about it for the first time from you, and then I got a direct message on it about 5 minutes ago. So I'll have to dig into it deeper before I talk about it.
Do you think that could be positive for us?
Getting them to look at it's always positive, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So because it's not going to go away. So.
Thank you for that, sir.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to JR. JR, you have the mic.
Hey, John. Hey, John. Thanks for coming on. Couple of questions. Can you maybe talk a little bit about, and I certainly understand if you can't, but can you talk a little bit about what Wes's reaction was to the statement and maybe what his thoughts are surrounding it? I'd be curious to know if you're able to answer that.
Let's just say Wes had a few chuckles about it, and and I will tell you, myself and the other guys from Flamethrower are pissed about it because we know the facts in every which way from Sunday. We know the facts. We know what happened in this whole period of time, so we're going to respond to that FINRA letter in some way, shape tomorrow. I'm hoping to do it via press release.
Okay.
And we're going through everything that they said with a fine-tooth comb and point out where they're wrong and point out where they're being disingenuous and things of that nature. So this is just the beginning.
Oh, I can imagine. So the other question I had for you was, and you and I had talked about this very early on in this process, that Nextbridge, was looking at things from whether or not they had standing to bring some type of lawsuit. And so I get it. I mean, it's hard to say what Nextbridge is thinking, but basically reading that statement, do you think this gives them standing to bring some type of lawsuit against the broker dealers?
I'm not going to speak for Nextbridge or kind of give opinions on that, but sure. I would say that it's my personal opinion that it does. I think more than anything is the the fact, the admission of the short position.
Right.
And so,
well,
now, but again, I'm not their attorney, and I'm not Clifton, and so
right.
whatever they decide to do is up to them. But I think it's pretty clear, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's understandable because we had a conversation about it earlier today, and I 110% agree as well. So that's all I have for right now. Thanks, John, and thanks, Busy.
Hey, no problem. So I'm going to go to Junk Savvy, and I believe Junk Savvy wants to break down that FINRA response. Go ahead, Junk Savvy. You have the mic.
Well, let me, I don't know if you guys are up for this, and John, I don't know how much time you have, but I thought we could.
I have an
Okay.
hour. Yeah.
I thought we could look at each major section and kind of get your thoughts on anything in particular. I know you said you need to take a deep dive into it. So I don't know that we necessarily have a time to really go that deep today, but are there just any particular facts or issues that they bring up, or lack of facts that stood out to you immediately upon a cursory review of the document?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, here it is. So yeah, there are several aspects of it. So it's interesting. The fact that they claim that that the stock was free trading and via S3 is completely erroneous. The S3 that was filed was a shelf registration statement for newly issued shares to be taken down in either a registered direct or an underwriting. That is not the same as filing an S3 resale registration for shares. If that were the case, why did the SEC require us to file an S1 for the Nextbridge shares? Technically, they should have already been registered, right? So a shelf registration doesn't cover off on all shares. And then secondly, if they were to use that, the follow-up of a shelf offering is a form of prospectus or a takedown agreement that basically notifies on a 424 that, hey, I've sold these amount of shares, or I'm doing this with these shares, and therefore this is what they're for. So, and the reason they do that is because it goes against your shelf. And so that statement that they were free trading because of the S3 that was filed, I believe has a lot of holes in it. So that's first and foremost. We'll be talking in our release. There's a lot of questions I have about, for example, on item number 1, who was involved in the process for the FINRA halt? Who did they speak to? Any BDs, hedge funds, or market makers that may have had unsettled positions in the stock prior to the halt? Did any firms lobby for the trading halt? I'd like to know that. If short positions knew about the intent for 5 months plus, why were there any short positions remaining? As they have admitted later in this document, right? Seems clear to that buy to close on the 9th and the 12th would have been settled by the 14th. So that's on item number 1.
Hey, John, by the way, have you received the documentation from the brokerages that sent out notices about that trading on the 9th and 12th were going to be closed position only? Have you received that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have, and we've got a whole dossier. And obviously, the Mmtlp crowd has done a nice job of aggregating all of that. So we have it all. You're 100% right. BDs were aware of it, and that's what they assumed the whole time.
Well, and John, when we did our interview a couple weeks ago, you had said that DTCC did not agree with the corporate action and therefore potentially didn't deliver instructions. If DTCC did not deliver instructions to the brokerages, how would they have sent out those letters or those emails announcing close only?
It depends on which, and every broker dealer is a little different, but they all monitor FINRA, right? So they're not like, it's not like they're not getting the information. But the reality is DTCC and the settlement process through NSCC is what they have to comply with. And so for DTCC not to take that information to FINRA and pass it along as, hey, this is gospel, guys, you've got to close out your positions on these days, is a problem.
Yeah.
It's a real problem. So, and then for FINRA not to show up to the meeting the next day is a real problem.
Okay. Another question, John, and this has probably been the focus of our tweets today, and something that we're hanging our hat on. In there, they indicate that it is valid to have short shares in a private company. Can you touch on that? We've heard that Nextbridge is a public non-trading company. They're a private company, which is different. It's illegal to hold short positions in a private company. Can you give your perspective on that? What my concern is
Well,
if
I think that's
go
I
ahead.
think that's I think that's a CYA statement. I don't think there's any validity to it, and I also believe that these are all kind of code words for, hey, we're going to try to trade
Yeah.
this. And they even go so far into the last statement and saying, because the shares are now registered, it could start trading again, but only if it had a CUSIP. Well, don't put anything past these people. That's all I'm saying. This goes a lot deeper than we all know. And every time something like this happens, I just shake my head and think to myself, "Boy, if I were a fly on the wall inside of FINRA, it would be just an amazing day."
Right. Well,
So,
John, let me ask you that. You mentioned, their statement towards the end that basically is like, well, let's just trade this thing and, get this over with. Cromwell, the president of OTC, said the exact same thing. So do you believe that that is the solution that they're holding out for, other than a sale of the assets? Is that Nextbridge decides to trade this? And after fighting these people for over a decade, why would Nextbridge give up their position of strength now and cave and let these guys off?
I don't think they will. I don't think that's the position at all.
Yeah.
And so, Nextbridge doesn't want anything to do with the public market. They just don't. And quite frankly, they're in a position right now, and I think they've publicly stated this, is that they're going to develop the field, and they're going to, they may not own it for 50 years, but they're going to own it for their foreseeable future. And so, for someone to wait around for them to sell that property is a little disingenuous. It's interesting is that over the last week or so, I've received a lot of people that have sent me their statements. And again, some of these people might have lent out their shares, or they had shares in margin account that were lent out. Well, they're getting interest on their shares. Well, obviously, that's 100% proof that those shares were lent out. And secondly, it's the last day of trading to me gives a great indication that those people that wanted that stock as low as possible, for the only reason that is if they had borrowed shares, all they had to return was the dollar value on the last day of trading. Now, that's borrowed shares. If they had legitimate shares that they borrowed, that's all they had to return. Naked shorting is a whole different animal.
Yeah. Let's go.
And I'm surprised that those people that lent out their shares haven't gotten their $2.90 a share. That seemed to me like a pretty easy settlement, but they haven't done that either.
Well, I did get messages in the very beginning from our European holders that quite a few brokerages did liquidate those at that closing price if they were on the share lending program. So it did happen to a few, but not as many as you would think. Let's toss the mic to JR. Go ahead, JR.
So, John, going back to, and I know Nextbridge has no desire to be part of the public market, and that's great. I don't know how do the sale of oil and gas assets work? Would there need to be any type of DOL or antitrust review before those assets are sold? And do you think it's possible that they could be under pressure to make this thing trade again, to clean this up if it's as bad as we suspect it is?
If they're under pressure, I haven't heard about it. And keep in mind, Greg and I are extremely close.
Right.
And Greg is the largest shareholder of Nextbridge. So I think he knows what's going on inside the organization. And I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay. And I freely admit that's a little tinfoil hat, but it's something that's been in the back of my mind kind of when I think about the bigger picture of this. So thank you.
Well, and John, also, we can't forget that Greg's also a debtor. Like, he loaned them $20 million. So I can imagine that there is some form of communication there as well. So, let me ask you, and I know Drew's got his hand up. Let me get in one more question before we toss back to Drew. John, you are an oil and gas executive. When you say they're planning on developing the assets, what does that mean to you?
That means they're going to comply with their obligations for the next 5 wells. And I believe, and I haven't talked to them about this, but I believe the next steps are to drill long horizontal wells and produce those wells to, get an understanding of, what their EURs are going to be and what the economic value of each well is going to be. There's potentially 3,000 horizontal wells out there. So that's a lot. And it's not something that can be developed in my lifetime. This is probably a 25 to 35 year project. And so I don't expect them to own it forever, but I do expect them to get it to a point where it's one of those type of assets that people are clamoring for.
So along that lines, then, John, if Nextbridge chooses to develop and there's not going to be a sale anytime soon, because I personally, if I'm putting, my head into the head of a hedge fund, which I don't want to spend too much time in there, but I would think let's just push them to sell. We can cover it, whatever the dividend is, and that's how we're going to get off, as clean as possible. But if Nextbridge is saying, nope, don't wait for us because we're not selling anytime soon, what then is going to push a resolution in this process? Is it a lawsuit from West Christian? Is it Congress acting? What do you believe is going to push this to a head so that we can resolve this situation?
Well, I think that's many fronts, quite frankly. I think FINRA did us a favor today by putting this out. It re-energized the whole base, quite frankly.
Agree.
And I think we're going to be able to put sufficient pressure on through Congress and through the different committees. And when you see our response to their statement tomorrow, you're gonna see that there's some holes in it, and they're not telling everything they know. For example, what I've seen a lot of people talk about the blue sheets today. The first day that this happened, the first thing that FINRA should have done is ask for the blue sheets from every broker dealer and did an accounting of how many shares were offsides. And if they haven't done that, 2 things. It's kind of like, hey, do you still beat your wife, right? So 2 things is if they haven't done it, then they've failed in their obligation to the investors and to the investing public. And if they have done it and they know the answers, they failed the investing public because they haven't been forthright with the answers. So they're really in a no-win situation, I believe, because either they haven't investigated, which I find extremely hard to believe, or they have investigated and they don't like what they see. And so really the next steps for the only people that have subpoena power right now is Congress and the oversight committees. And if they are not forthcoming with the information that they've requested, then I've been told that those people aren't afraid to use that subpoena power. And then secondly, the other avenue, which is a longer avenue, is to file suit. And then those people you file suit against, and it won't be FINRA that you file suit against. It'll have to be broker dealers or market makers or hedge funds. You file suit against them, and then if you get past the motion to dismiss, then you get discovery, which includes DTCC, FINRA, NSCC, market makers, hedge funds, broker dealers, and that's when you get the full gamut of all the information at your disposal. So those are the only 2 ways to get it.
Thanks, John. Drew, the mic is yours.
Mr. Brda, today a new slogan was released. A new slogan was conceptualized and subsequently released on Twitter. It is hashtag release the blue sheets, where we are yelling at the top of our lungs. The tweet that originally kicked it off was, FINRA, if you're truly an organization that wants to live up to the mission statement of protecting retail investors and offering full transparency to us, then show us the MMTLP blue sheets for all 105 broker dealers, market makers, and clearing houses. Hashtag release the blue sheets. How do you feel about that as a demand from retail moving forward?
I think it's an incredible demand. I think they'll never do it. because it opens up the Pandora's box for them. And, it's a tremendous transparency methodology. I just, I would be shocked if they did something like that. But I love the pressure it puts on them for sure.
Well, it's very clear that the people of this community are being heard. Would you agree with that?
100%, 1000%, they're getting heard.
And I mean, in my opinion, putting pressure on them to release the blue sheets, they don't necessarily have to release it to us. They can release it to Nextbridge and to MetaMaterials. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so it has been said that there's nothing stopping them from. It has been said that it would be more prudent to get, in an effort to get truthful blue sheets, if Nextbridge Hydrocarbons or MetaMaterials or both subpoenaed them for it. To your knowledge, have they requested the blue sheets from FINRA?
First of all, they can't request them because those are private. That's private information between the broker dealers and FINRA, and the only people that have subpoena power are courts and Congress. So even if Meta said, "Hey, we want to subpoena these," they couldn't do it without filing a lawsuit first, and they would have to name the people that they want to go after. And very similar to the way the GTII did it, they would have John Doe's in there as well. That's what you have to do first in order to get, and then you have to wait for motion to dismiss and get past all that, right? So there's only two ways to get a subpoena: one's through the courts and one's through Congress.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
JR, on you.
John, why do you think FINRA put out a statement today? Like what? Because
I don't know. I was interesting. Maybe it was the video that was put out on Let It Trade. That was extremely powerful, by the way. I don't know. I don't know the actual individuals' names who did it, but kudos to them. That was fantastic. But I was telling my wife that how impressed I am with this community and just the amount of talent that's been displayed through this whole process is really incredible. So maybe it was that. Maybe they saw that and decided, hey, we need to get ahead of this. Maybe it was a CYA statement. Who knows? Maybe they're getting pressure from Congress in ways that we're not aware of yet. So,
but then I guess go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I think more than anything, I think it helped us because now we know. Now we know their game plan, right? Their game plan is to blame us all on broker dealers and, hey guys, see what you get from them. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just mind boggled. I'm mind boggled that they put a statement out, but then I'm mind boggled that they actually asked the question in number 9 and responded basically saying, yeah, there's open short positions.
Yeah.
So I'm blown away. So thanks.
No problem.
Okay. Mr. Brda, you say that you're really you had that conversation with your wife regarding the community, and I completely agree with you. The people of this community, it's mind blowing. The people of this community are looking to continue to take action. So, what do you think our calls to FINRA should be saying now?
Wow. Why don't we do this? Why don't we wait tomorrow to see our press release and then see what the reaction is to those questions? And I'm not saying our answers are 100% the end all, because I know this audience can take some of the information we're putting out there and do it just a much deeper dive on it. But why don't we wait to see what that brings about and what people are thinking after they see it, and then that way we can kind of get together as a group and see what the next steps are. Certainly, it's going to keep up the pressure. That is 100% going to happen. But the hot buttons we choose to push, I do like the blue sheets one. That's a great one.
I like the blue sheets. I like the blue sheets thing too. I think that's fun. We're trying to get GW, who is a part of the MMTLP Studios crew,
He's here.
up here. GW?
Yes, sir.
Meet John Brda.
Hey, John.
Hey, how are
I'm
you?
great, thank you.
Terrific work. I see you're getting some donations too, which is great.
Yes, thank you. Well, that's the next step. We have a great tool in that video, but the tool in the toolbox is useless unless you pull it out of the toolbox and put it to work. So the funds will help us push that thing out into the public, to the Congress, to whatever influencers we need to influence to help us get this thing done.
Yeah, I saw Will made a big donation too, so kudos to him. That's great.
Yes, that was very generous.
You guys there?
Yeah, no, we're sorry. Sorry, John. We're
Very
here.
appreciative.
For those of you that don't know, Will Stewart, one of the top shareholders, made a rather sizable 4-figure donation to MMTLP Studios. We encourage everyone to make some donations to MMTLP Studios so that we can continue to get the video out there and produce more great content on behalf of the community. So if you haven't already, I'll ask Busy to throw a link up in the nest where you'd be able to make a donation. That would really be great, and it would help to get our voices amplified. JR, to you, sir.
Just to follow up on what Drew was saying earlier about applying pressure to FINRA. I mean, I know we have Congress's ear, but are they still as engaged as they were prior to SIVP? And, you know, if we're going to focus efforts on FINRA, which is the institution, where should we focus our efforts in Congress? Should we just, keep blasting the letters out? Should we be hammering the committee? What are your thoughts there?
I think you do both of those things. I don't think that they're like that. Not everybody can focus on SVB. There's a lot of people that have talking points related to that. And, there's a lot of banking issues, but the banking committee is handling it predominantly. Did they have an all hands on deck meeting about it? Yeah, they did. But I don't think that this has been pushed under the rug by any means. I've got a call again tomorrow with a senator now, and I do know there was a meeting with my guy and his constituent in his locality today to talk about next steps. We just got to keep moving forward, and I know Norman in South Carolina is all over this. So there's a lot going on. The more that we contact with, the more people that will actually hear us, and the more of them that will actually take the time to go to, the websites that are out there, the Just Pasted and the MMTLP resources, and Let It Trade, and actually do the due diligence. It takes time to hear the whole story and digest it if you're not living it every day like we do. It's not an easy story. But it's an intriguing one. It's going to make for a great movie when this is all done. So,
well, if that movie is a dramatic feature, I may have an A-list producer that might be interested. So,
well, you guys know that McCabe has produced several movies.
Oh,
Obviously,
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, look at his IMDb page.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, so.
Well, I used to.
He's actually doing another one.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
used to work for an A-list producer, so maybe we can get them two together, unless McCabe just wants to helm it on his own. But we definitely have some resources. So let's go back to Drew, and then I have another question for you, John. Drew, go ahead.
Sure.
Mr. Brda, to this point, it has been speculated by many people in the community that they were just trying to push this problem and sweep it under the rug. I beg to differ. I think with the action that Meta took today and with what FINRA did today, I take that to mean that our voices are being heard and that they know they can't sweep us under the rug. Could I just get your feelings on that?
I sure hope you're right. I have a tendency to agree with you, but I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to sweep this under the rug, but I just can't see that happening. There's too many people involved. There's too many people that have been wronged, and too many voices that have been heard. I just don't see sweeping under the rug to be a solution that everybody's going to be comfy with.
Agreed.
Would you agree with the sentiment that the people of this community have said loud and clear that we will not be swept under the rug by any means?
100%.
Awesome. All right. Richard, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Hi. How are you doing?
Everybody's good.
Hey, John. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I just wanted to. So obviously, I saw the stuff this morning, and I know there's one. I sent an email out. So I have three counsel I'm dealing with, three different law firms, and just coincidentally, last night late, I got motions to dismiss from all three. So I don't know if the timing was coincidental, but it is what it is. But this morning, after I read the FAQ, I sent out an email to all three counsels, and I'm going to briefly read it because I know there's one line in here that will, my guess, I'm betting that there's one line in here that will make people smile. So I'll get to that. So I'm just going to read it quickly because it's a 1 minute go. So it says, "Dear sirs and madams, I'm sure you've all seen the coincidentally timed new FAQ put out by FINRA MMTLP. Although the document is full of inaccuracies and is clearly self-serving, it clearly shifts the blame to brokers such as Fidelity, as FINRA has stated that my Nextbridge shares are tradable by law. Will FINRA, the DTCC, and Fidelity permit me to trade my NB shares? If not, and in light of FINRA's admission that they are indeed tradable, why not? I was flabbergasted to see that FINRA acknowledged that millions of short shares went into the Nextbridge transaction. Where was that disclosed pre-transaction by FINRA, the DTCC, or Fidelity? And if not, why not? On what legal basis can naked short shares be transferred from a public company to a private entity like Nextbridge? FINRA fails to dispute that there are legal naked shorts that have not been closed out. In fact, FINRA suggests that short positions did not have to be closed out. That admission proves one of the essential allegations of the complaint, that the defendants jointly permitted the system to exist and flourish that permits illegal short positions to not close out, and as such, it appears that all defendants are at least aiding and abetting tax evasion. Please explain if you have a different view on this issue. I found these issues just in a 5-minute review of something that should line a bird cage. I await and would appreciate your immediate reply to the above. I found the admissions very troubling some 100 days post-transaction. Please get back to me before the end of the day. Thanks, Richard."
Did you get a response?
Not the end of the day. I would not expect a response, to be honest. I just wanted them to consider it. If I got a response, that would be great. But I wanted to make sure they understood that we knew that FAQ was obviously a pile.
That's awesome. Yeah, obviously you were expecting the motion to dismiss, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey, John, I have a question for you, unless Richard has a question for you.
Go ahead.
No, I'm all good.
Okay. So, a little seemingly off topic, but not really. Do you have any thoughts? Of course, you're working with Wes Christian about his recently filed lawsuit against GTS and Canaccord Genuity. And is this part of, I know we're not going to reveal legal strategy, but let me say this. Are the wagons circling?
The answer to that question is yes. Yes. Yes, the wagons are circling. So, and quite frankly, it wasn't our intent to have to go down this path. And I'll be honest with you, brutally honest with you. It wasn't, for us to spend this money that we're spending and to have to force this hand in the legal manner and the things that Richard's doing and Rose is doing. We shouldn't have to do this. That's the shitty part about it, is we shouldn't have to do that. To spend our time and energy and money fixing what they could fix in about 10 seconds. But if those are the cards we're dealt, then we're going to play them.
Thanks, John. JR, go ahead. Actually, I'm sorry. I think Drew was first, then JR. Drew, go ahead.
By all means, JR, please, sir.
John, the reason I had asked earlier about, where should we be focusing our efforts on Congress is because we've got individuals in the audience that have reached out to the Financial Services Committee, and we thought we were making some progress, but then after FINRA put their statement out this morning, they're pushing us back to FINRA. So I guess my question is there any one?
Who's
Go
pushing
ahead,
you
sorry.
back to FINRA? Who's pushing you back to FINRA?
Hold on, let me read the text. You know what, Junk? If you could just give Anna a mic. She's the one that I've been talking to, and she actually just texted me to ask the question, if that's possible.
Yeah. So, John, Anna has been communicating with her representative as well, direct communications. Yep. So I did just hand her a mic.
Sure.
Oh, shoot. Is Anna on Android? Did she just get bumped?
Nope, I'm on iPhone. Hi, thanks
Hi,
for the
Anna.
mic. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've been in contact. I'm from Georgia, and I dropped my letter off directly to my congressman's office in Savannah, and I've been in contact with, and then I got a call from the DC office, and I've been, in direct contact, having conversations, emails with my congressman's legislative assistant. And she sent me this morning, I sent her the video and asked her to look at that, just said, I think you should be aware that this is circulating, and press is, picking up on it. We're spreading it through Twitter. And I said that I did know that several people from the community had shared it with their Congress members or constituents. And so she sent back today, she says, Anna, passing along some information that I've received from the House Financial Service Committee, because she's been speaking to them directly on my behalf, and she's taking it very seriously per my conversations with her in my letter. So, but she basically said to me, if the shares, and this is what they sent back to her, that if the shares aren't showing up or there are inaccuracies that cannot be settled, you need to settle that directly with the broker-dealer's firm. FINRA's complaint portal, so we can go back to their FINRA complaint portal, or about the broker's dealer. So if we have a complaint with the broker's dealer, we can send that to FINRA. Also, we can go to Ombudsman's office, which we've been doing, and we've been speaking to Chase, Jack Chase, yes. And then also she sent me their corporate action statement today about the trading halt. So, before I respond back to her, because I feel like this is an opportunity where I need to say, yeah, but this is something that they can't, they're continuing to push us to continue to make complaints to FINRA, which is what we did for the first month and a half. The SEC kept saying, call FINRA. Well, that's complaining against the people who have basically, are in cahoots on this whole thing to cover it up. So I need to I've been out with my children all day, and I need to respond back to her, but I would pick this apart and say, it doesn't defend anything they've done just because they've put a statement out almost 100 days later.
Yeah, I would tell her, well, we're putting out hopefully we'll put out a press release in the morning with our responses to it. And basically, we're basically disavowing this particular statement they put out, and really it doesn't say anything. They didn't defend themselves, and they're pushing the buck onto the broker dealers when they are the ones that are supposed to be, basically policing the broker dealers. So, it's like the cops going and saying, well, go ask the robbers what they're doing.
Exactly. And that's why, I wanted to speak with you directly because, we've been pushing for FINRA, and now it's been Congress. And I feel like we need to just keep our efforts ramped up on Congress and reaching out to, our person, the person that can speak on our behalf, as our constituents. But that's what I wanted to know from you. Where would you think that we can best put our efforts? We have these daily calls where we're, having our actions, and I feel like FINRA is just wanting us to report to them because it keeps it out of Congress.
Yeah, FINRA is not doing anything. The ombudsman at FINRA doesn't do anything. They're not getting anything from their upper echelon at FINRA. So, the only way to get to the bottom of this with FINRA is to ask the oversight committee to basically get the questions that I gave them answered. This statement by FINRA does nothing. It does not absolve them from any liabilities. and I'm not talking about monetary liabilities. I'm talking about, basically wrongdoings that they did, or the fact that we're all trapped. It doesn't absolve anybody from that. So I'm going to talk to my guys, hopefully tonight or tomorrow morning as well, and let them know that this is nothing. And please look at our responses to this, and keep the pressure on FINRA, because obviously this is an answer to satisfy somebody. And I don't know, it's not satisfying us. So maybe it was done to satisfy those in Congress that are, attempting to, do something, or at least act like they're doing something.
So do you think we should keep the pressure on FINRA and Congress?
FINRA's not going to respond to us.
Okay.
They're just going to push. They're
But
not going to
keep
do
the
anything.
pressure on Congress so that they will then apply the pressure to FINRA. That's what.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been calling.
Oh, I think they responded to us today.
Yeah, I know that, but they probably responded because they were getting some pressure from Congress to, and not only Congress, but also us directly to do something. What I'm telling you is that they're not going to come out tomorrow and say, all right, guys, we screwed up. We're going to fix this.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. They have to be forced to do that. And so
okay, so they actually stated that here that there were some errors with respect to, the backdated D1 due to, they actually stated that they made some mistakes here, especially with, FINRA incorrectly classified MMTLP as a security of a non-SEC reporting company, incorrectly published its threshold securities list, showing that MMTLP met the FINRA threshold. Like they're admitting that they messed up with the reg show reporting.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
there are people that relied on that to buy or sell stock.
Yeah, I think that's majorly problematic. Do you believe that, let's go to Junk Savvy. I'm going to shut up.
So I have two questions for you, John. The first one is in this letter or response, whatever you want to call it, they indicate that there is a process for resolving uncovered short positions that that is available to brokerages.
Well,
what is
my
that,
question
and
is,
why haven't they implemented it?
that's a great question. And in fact, the next thing we should be doing is bombarding our broker dealers and saying, why haven't you resolved this? And they're going to turn right around and say, it's a FINRA issue. It's not our issue. But I would love to hear from, I know they're, and obviously, Will has a big position at TD, and David has a big position at Fidelity, and they could probably get to some answers. And everybody else who has positions at different places, call your broker dealers, tell them, show them this statement from FINRA. They say you can resolve this. Let's resolve it. How are you planning on resolving this?
John, my second question, and the response may be I can neither confirm nor deny, but there's been a lot of speculation about Ms. Hopper, head of compliance at FINRA, and her resignation. Has your team reached out to her and found out the circumstances under which she resigned and potentially assisted her with a whistleblower status?
No, we have not.
Is that something that you potentially think could be a worthwhile effort on your part? Is it something you've even considered?
I haven't considered it until this moment, until you talked about it.
Okay, well, there you go. My job is done. Good night, folks. No, no, we've done a lot of speculating. In fact, Jonna, one of our community members who has a professional LinkedIn account, has actually reached out to her to see if she's willing to connect. We have been monitoring. She has not. There is not at that level of executive level. Then there should be an announcement from an organization that she's joined. There has not been such an announcement. Sure. JR maybe can speak. We had a great, JR does a lot of human resources. We had a great discussion about this, speculating, she was a year and a half from collecting her pension or being qualified for her pension. Why would you walk away from something? I think it's not a coincidence that her resignation occurred 5 days after you publicly announced on YouTube that they ghosted your meeting. So yeah, I mean, if you would do us a solid and reach out to Wes and see if there's a connection to be made, I think we could potentially have a whistleblower there.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, John, I have to second that. We had at least 2 solid days of conversation around this person, and she literally abruptly resigned. I think it was maybe 2 days after you had shared with the community that FINRA hadn't showed up to the meeting with representatives from DTC and whoever the other group of representatives was. So there definitely may be something there.
I'll reach out to Junk Savvy after this, and we can talk some more and see how we go about it.
Hey, John, honestly, I'll direct you to JR. He's got the expertise, and he led that conversation. So I will defer to him on that one. Busy has a comment or a question. Busy, go ahead.
Thank you, Junk Savvy. So, John, I have a question here for one of our community members. The question goes, if there was pressure that we had the ability to put internally on an individual, entity, or group, who would the top few be?
Gosh. I would say one of them that we've been unable to really do anything with yet, and that is the Senate side of the Capital Markets Division. We haven't, I've got a call tomorrow with a gentleman from North Carolina, but that's one we haven't been able to really get a whole lot of traction with. And I would say we have to keep going with the Oversight Committee in Congress. We're applying the pressure where we need to from a legal standpoint, and that is moving forward. But that's just another methodology. I'd prefer that this thing gets settled without us having to go to court on anything, because it just, obviously there's, who's going to win in that battle, right? We're all going to get something, and if we win, and the attorneys are going to get a lot. So I don't want to see the Nextbridge shareholders, if that's something that is in addition to settling the trades, great. I don't want it to be the only thing that happens.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Thank you, John. Also, I want to take the
Can I just piggyback on that, Busy, real quick?
I want to take the time to introduce Frank Ness. Frank Ness has been extremely helpful in pushing our story into frankness.com. I want to welcome him, and I want to introduce you to Frank Ness. Frank Ness, you have the mic.
Hey, thanks, Busy. I appreciate that. Thanks, John, for co-hosting. And hi, John.
Sure.
It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm really enjoying what I'm hearing from you these past few minutes I've been here. I had a quick question, but I think you might have answered it earlier. And it's really just regarding putting pressure and raising awareness. And my question really to you, just very quickly, is do you think that we will see some sort of justice or solution for those affected? Or do you believe that FINRA will just simply continue to dismiss the event without taking any real accountability?
Well, I don't know. What's interesting is that we're going to find out one way or the other, whether we have to do it through the court system or whether Congress is going to effectuate change the way that they can. We're going to find out. We're not going to stop in this effort. So we have what we believe are, if we end up filing suit in that manner, we have what we believe are basically bulletproof items that will survive motion to dismiss. And then the discovery process starts. And the discovery is a wide open door for us to understand actually who all the bad actors are, who all, broker dealers involved, market makers, hedge funds, FINRA, DTCC, everybody's going to get subpoenaed for their information. So no, I don't believe it's going to go away. And no, I don't believe it's going to be swept under the rug. We're hitting this from both angles, through Congress and through the court system, and we're not going away. It's just not going to happen.
Love it. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. So I have Dr. Edward here. Before Dr. Edward, are you glitching? Because I know that. Yep, he's glitching. He dropped down. Go ahead and request the mic again. But this one was from John Bowen, and he posted something on the Nest. If you could take a look at that, and he just wanted me to share it on the Nest for you, John. And then I'll take it. Go ahead, Drew, while we wait for Dr. Edward.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull that up. Okay.
So the Nest basically says the Nest is basically that Interactive Brokers statement. I wish it was time stamped.
Actually, there is a whoever had this actually sent me a time-stamped one too, and then I think they made a video of it as well. So this one does have a timestamp on it.
Okay, and what do you think about this pending liquidations statement?
This was from. I mean, it's fantastic. It's great evidence. And as I said, you know, a lot of there were broker dealers that were prepared to do that. So you know, I'm not saying that all broker dealers are bad. I know there's some nefarious ones, and you know, if they all lived like Credit Suisse, there wouldn't be any left, right? So so there are people that are doing things they're supposed to be doing, but this is terrific evidence that they knew what they were supposed to do and they were prepared to act on it.
Awesome. So just to piggyback off of what you were discussing with respect to possible litigation, my question is, if this thing, God forbid, were to go to litigation and wrongdoing was found, how would they, in your opinion, how would they possibly be able to decide who gets shares in Nextbridge and who gets a paid settlement or vice versa?
And what's funny is we've talked about that, and what we'd like to see, and this is, you know, the guys from Flamethrower, is that everybody would be in the same boat. So, for example, and then this is, you know, and I don't know if this is, you know, ultimately the judge decides, you know, what's acceptable for a settlement. But what I would love to see is for everybody to be in the same boat. So, for example, if there are 165 million shares issued and there's 500 million shares outstanding, that everybody's in, you know, you get your pro rata share of Nextbridge and you get a cash settlement for the remainder. You know, even, you know, that way everybody gets, there's no preferential aspect, right? So, for example, if you own, all of your shares are owned by Nextbridge and they're all at the transfer agent, they've always been that way. Well, if this thing opens up to trading, guess what? You're not going to be able to trade because you can't get your stock back in a broker dealer, to my knowledge. But if it ends up being settled in the court of law, I would prefer, and I think the guys from our group would prefer, that everybody gets a pro rata. Oops, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
We got you.
My phone just went crazy. I think it would be better for everybody to get a pro rata, some of Nextbridge and some of cash, depending on how much you own of the total pot. So that's the way I'd like to see it go down. But you know, we've had those discussions, but first we got to win.
Thank you, John. I have Dr. Edward here. Dr. Edward, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, John. Nice to meet you. Quick question. So there's a lot of conflict of interest between the SEC, FINRA, the broker-dealers. Are you finding the same challenges when dealing with Congress? There's a lot of conflict of interest there.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about Congress is there are a lot of let's just say interests that are represented by lobbyists on a daily basis, right? And there's a lot of problems with the way the laws are created and the way that laws are voted on and the way that, you know, things are put into laws that, you know, you think are great ideas until they jam in, you know, 50 things that shouldn't be in a law, that it becomes a bad idea. So unfortunately, that's the sausage that, as the people say in Congress, that's how the sausage is made. Well, I would like it to be a very clean process and not involve, you know, all of the things that they all do. And this is Republicans and Democrats both. There's nobody that's unique in that platform. So, yes, are they conflicted? They could be, but it's up to us to make sure that this is a bigger deal than you know, $1,000 at a dinner somewhere.
So, one more statement and then I'll get off. You have the ear of senators, and one thing I've been screaming for a while now is how un-American this is, and how any person, Republican or Democrat, that allows this to happen to our country and to shareholders and to veterans and to teachers, I hope that this message is coming across, because facts tell, and the facts are overwhelming. But really, the emotional aspect, I think if we continue to hammer that, and a person like you can lend the ear of these people that are in Congress that should have the best interest, Republican or Democrat, for all the Americans, that would be appreciated on my half. So,
Yeah,
that's all I have to say.
I agree with you. And there's 65,000 people, men and women, soldiers, every walk of life has been affected by this. And so, and quite frankly, it goes beyond our ticker and our story. It goes way beyond it. And if they're not willing to fix this and they continue to allow it, they're basically stealing on a daily basis and devaluing all of our worth. And as Americans, we should be pissed off about it. And I think we all are. But we just need to continue down that path. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
Hey, John, one more.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead. I'm going to say one final
Well, no,
thing.
we've only got a couple more minutes with John, unless John would like to lend us a few more. We want to be respectful, but I have one more question, then we'll toss it to Drew. John, is there a way that we can use those lobbies and their self-interest to fight for us? For example, the oil and gas lobby, Nextbridge is based in Texas, or Grande is based in Texas. Pete Sessions rumoredly has a personal connection to this situation. He's powerful. He sits on the Financial Services Committee. Is there a way that we can connect with the oil and gas lobby and get them to work on our side?
The answer to the question, we have not gone down that path with the oil and gas lobby, but it's, I'm writing it down.
Okay.
2 for 2.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm better at this than trading stocks. So we're going to go to Drew. Thank you, John. I really appreciate your time.
Mr. Brda, again, yes, thank you so much for your time. There's over 1,100 people in this room right now. Would you mind giving, some, do you have like a message or some advice that you'd like to give to the community in light of over 1,000 people being here?
Well, first of all, it's humbling to have that many people in the audience right now, and you're all taking time out of your busy days to be here. First of all, I appreciate that. But secondly, I want to tell you all that this fight is not over, and I'm glad that FINRA did this today. It's energized all of us, and I believe that we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to fight. We're going to take this and as far as we need to take it to settle it. And so our group is committed to that, and the support that you guys are doing and the way that you're going about the efforts that you can do is extremely appreciated. And quite frankly, it's everyone's being heard. So everyone keep doing what they're doing. Rosa's doing a great job. Richard's doing a great job. Alan's doing a great job. Everybody with the Let It Ride community and the Mmtlp studios. I mean, I'm going to miss people, but even the ones that were originally kind of started this whole thing, all these people I've become friends with. It's just fantastic to see where this is going. And it's interesting. I would have never known any of you had this not happened. But I want us to be a happy ending, and I think it will be. And we just need to keep pushing. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, John, for attending. Thank you for agreeing. This community really everything that you're doing, and again, thank you for coming. I'm going to hand it over to Junk Savvy. Go ahead.
Yeah, just again wanted to thank you, John. It really was an incredible day. I think when the statement first came out, we were definitely concerned and we braced for impact. But I think it was a gift, and we'll take it. We'll take it. And we're excited to hear your and Wes's response tomorrow and use that as fuel to continue this fight. So thank you, John. We appreciate the sacrifices you're making of your time and your resources. And we invite you back anytime. You can always have a mic. So
release the blue sheets, 3,708 tweets.
There you go.
Keep going.
There you go. We definitely will,
everyone.
John. Yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
absolutely. Thank you.
All
And
right,
good
take
night.
care.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
I was going to say, he also sounds like he feels better. So that's a good sign. Busy, do you want to keep this space open as is? I don't want to lose our listeners. Do we want to continue the
No,
conversation, or
I'm
do you
gonna
want to close it for the
Yep,
recording and then open a
I'm
new
gonna
one?
open up a new one right now if everybody wants to follow.
All right, guys. So there was the space call with John Brda. I'm glad we got to listen to that. It was very important. So we'll have this on the YouTube channel. If for some reason Twitter takes it down, we have it on the YouTube channel, and we got Mr. Brda giving a lot of great information. I'm really looking forward to the press release coming tomorrow. So that's going to be really exciting. There is so much that happened today. I'm going to have videos come out pretty much all weekend on everything that has transpired today. I'm sure there's going to be a lot transpiring tomorrow as well. But I wanted to get this video out on just the call and let them talk. Get that call out. So we got that out. And I appreciate everyone that has came into this live stream. Everyone, all the support. Guys, I think we had like 99% all positive. There was only like 1 or 2 trolls in the chat the whole time. That's what I'm talking about. There's always going to be trolls. But we have so much positive vibes in the MetaFam community. I love it. I'm happy where we're at. This FINRA statement today just re-energized the whole thing. And now we got the ammo that's going to be used against them now, that statement. And they're putting the blame on the broker-dealers. So now we get to call the broker-dealers and be like, FINRA tells you need to fix this. And they're going to put the blame back on FINRA. But like, no, read this statement. FINRA says you need to fix it. So hope you all enjoyed this live stream. I'll have videos out tomorrow, over the weekend, giving y'all the updates of everything that transpired here, probably from today and for Thursday and Friday. There's a lot of information. Catch y'all next video, guys.